Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm your host, Zen Garcia.
To learn and to come to discernment upon. These are certainly strange times. I'm sure that wherever you may be, people are starting to ask you, some really odd questions, and that people are being forced to consider a lot of things in regard to the New World Order and conspiracy and prophecy. It's all coming to a head. Everything is quickly merging um, in the way that the Messiah had revealed that there would be, wars and rumors of wars, earthquakes in diverse places, the waves in the sea roaring, famines and pestilences. Uh, be certain no man deceives you or leads you astray, which is a huge one. The scriptures reveal that, in this time and in this day, that even the most elect would be deceived if it were possible. And so, if you really consider those words, consider that thought, let it sit in for a little bit. It's quite sobering that even the most elect of the Most High, the people that bring in help others to discern and to make sense of what's going on in the world, that there would be no love of the truth. And because of that, people would be greatly led astray, and that the times would be odd, completely turned upside down, evil, what people would think, consider to be good, evil would be normalized and become just abominations just becoming accepted at every turn of the way. And there's entire groups of people that are just trying to tell everybody else that, certain ways of being, certain ways and ideas, morals, that these kind of things are wrong, and that we should all, reconsider that, how odd is it that, an adult has some kind of attraction to young kids. That's really odd, and yet they are trying to make this in some kind of orientation. Even the bestiality that people imposing themselves on innocent animals and engaging in, that's all very odd as well. Um, Hold on. Be right back. Anyways, I appreciate all of you in the chat, and I want to thank all the new moderators, Sherry, Stephanie, Brick, and all the others that are helping out. We really do appreciate all of you, and for you to dedicate your time and your space to come in here and to fellowship with all of us and to share time. It's yeah, it's a wonderful blessing. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to be certain to cover tonight and to elaborate a little bit more, and I am going to go into if you have questions on the calendar, if you're confused and you want somebody to bring forth um, a little bit of clarity on the timing and how things work according to the Enochian Lunisolar Calendar, the 2024 that we've released. Ian, no, today is not Passover. No, we're a long ways from that. Let me and no, I wanted to give you all, proper timing so that you can make sure that you're on task. Because I know that, we're not all aligned on the issue of Sabbath, which is perfectly fine. This is not a salvational issue. We all still know that Christ is Messiah, that salvation comes through him, that eternity is extended to us by the sacrifice that he made on the cross as the Passover lamb. And that when you really consider and you look at the Levitical feast days, the timing of them, how Christ, the Son of God, the only begotten, how he fulfilled these feast days. I mean, it makes complete and perfect sense as to why we would celebrate these holy days, these feast days, and how it is that these feasts also they they fulfilled the entire role and mission, the coming of the Messiah, his purpose, his reason for taking on mortal embodiment, taking on the flesh in order to redeem us, restore us to our first estate, to rectify the fall. That that is the greater purpose, the most important thing that could be done. And it also describes in the scriptures there'd be no greater thing than a man lay down his life for his neighbor, his brother, his friend. And we had God do this for us. I mean, how amazing is that? That, most religions or monarchies or kingships, the governments, control systems, they have largely been put into place in order for the few to be served by the many. And that's usually the extent of what happens. And yet, the Most High loves us so much that he even extended and offered the life of his son in the same way that he had asked Abraham if he would be willing to do so. Okay, so the timing. because there was confusion on that. And it came down to the calendar that I don't know where Justin had gotten the digital copy, but that one was not in line with the one that we had just released. And so, if you do purchase the digital copy, it it will keep you up to date uh, from January, and it does go through December, January to December, even though we know this is not the real year, that the year begins in the spring, and that the sun or a bee, the month of a bee, this would be to you the beginning of the years as it was restored to Moshe and Aaron during the time of the Exodus. And so I'm going to explain a little bit about that and cover a few things that allude to these things. And we're going to have, at some point very soon, we're going to have Troy Miller join us, the creation calendar. His books are finished. I do have to add the hardback uh, availability. And so I'll be doing that very soon, probably this week, expanding that so that for those that would like to purchase in hardback, which I love the hardbacks. I think they're exquisite, very well done, and I think they're worth the extra, $10 in investment. Certainly the books will last a lot longer. And even having read through them a few times, you can't even tell. There's no folding, bending of the cover pages or anything like that. Okay, so let me go ahead and lay out the timing and tell you where we are. Oh yes, and like I said, I will try to take questions. So if you have some, paste them into the chat. If I missed it or if I don't get to it immediately, just be patient and paste it again. And I will try to check after the ends of the different segments. All right. And so for this month, which it is now March the 7th, and March the 7th, it's a Thursday, March the 7th. This is the 27th of Adar, or the 12th month. So we are in the second to the last day of what is the end of the year. And this Saturday will be the lunar conjunctive Sabbath. And then you'll have as long as it all plays out correctly in this manner. Sometimes it doesn't, but it is what it is. We can't always get it 100% accurate. Things do shift, and we have to adjust and adapt accordingly. So on the 10th, what would be Sunday the 10th? Sunday, March the 10th, this will be Rosh Chodesh for the month of Nisan. Rosh Chodesh meaning the head of the month. And this is also Rosh Hashanah, what is the beginning of the new year. And the word Nisan or Nisan means to sprout, to spring up. It also has to do with miracles, this being a season or, the month of miracles where we saw that the Israelites were led to freedom and that they were allowed to gain access to their freedom and to being able to worship and celebrate and honor their God in the way that, most people just want the privilege of being able to celebrate and worship God in the way that they choose. And that was the whole reason for the setup of, America initially, idealistically, was that so that people could find the place, the space, a country, a nation, an area, a region of the world where they could worship God in the way that they felt or chose, in whatever way they chose to call him. And so there's been, this kind of a struggle for a long time in that people want to be able to just honor, give gratitude, worship the Most High, just with thanks, prayers, whether you're, a lot of people believe that the smoke of incense carries the prayers up to the throne of the Most High. And I do think that there's something to that, the smoke rising, it certainly goes up towards the throne of the Most High. And that the sides of the north, the mount of the congregation, where the Mount Zion is located, that this is in the center of the earthen plane as well. And so mark it on your calendar, and you should, on the Sunday of the 10th, March the 10th, you should be able to go out, you know, less than an hour after sunset, look towards western skies, wherever it is that, the sun sets in your portion part of the world, that about 50 minutes after, what should be normal sunset, you should experience the first appearance of the waxing crescent in western skies. And that will be shortly after the sun goes down, or the sun vanishes disappears from uh, what should be our being able to see that we are in the path and the line of visibility up until that time. And then all the luminaries, the sun, the moon, the stars, all of them move and circle around Polaris. And so once the sun travels from east to west across the southern skies, then reaching the vanishing point, it will start to head back towards the north and will take on returning back to the entry where it enters in our field of illumination in the morning, where the sun rises in the morning, that this is where the sun returns to over the course of evening. As it spins back towards the east, it returns back to that point of inception where the sun reaching and illuminating our perspective, we witness sunrise. But all it is the sun entering into our field of illumination again. And so we will have Sabbath actually occurring on Sundays for this month. So you have on the 17th, which is the 8th of Nisan, it's the first quarter Shabbat. And then the 15th of Nisan, the unleavened bread, Hagamotzi. And that is the full moon Sabbath. And the Passat or Passover, that's always the 14th of Nisan. So it will be on Saturday, the 14th, that we have Passat. Then the 15th, every 15th is a full moon Sabbath. And so on the Feast of Unleavened Bread or Hagamotzi, you will have, which will be the 24th. This is Sunday, the 24th of March. And that will be the full moon Sabbath. And then the 22nd will actually be the third quarter Sabbath, or the seventh day of the counting of the Omer, which leads us to Pentecost, Shavuot, and we'll talk about the timing of that as well, because my friend Troy, he brought this information to light, and I used to believe and consider and think that we are almost at break. Hold on. Uh, let's all continue to pray for Tammy, everybody. She's still ill, so we will reach out. Thank you for sharing that, Stephanie. She's speaking about incense, and she says, regarding incense, unto the pure all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is defiled. Titus chapter 1, verse 15. All right, we'll be right back, everybody. All right, welcome back, everybody. And I just wanted to, I'm going to try to share my screen so you can see kind of the format that the calendar that we have released, um, in what kind of print form. If you were to order it and to have the paper copy sent to you, I'll kind of give you an idea as to what it will look like. So, as I said, this was a conversion of the January to December Gregorian calendar. So, we start January, and of course, we have Tevet, Shavat, and Adar, the last 3 months. And, these are in the real calendar, there's, just numbers. There's no names. These names are what were the names that the Israelites, when they went into Babylon and they assimilated what was, the Aramaic and the Babylonian ways uh, and mindset, because they did share. It went from Hebrew to Aramaic in that time, and the Israelites really did pick up and assimilate what was, a cultural way of being that was different than what they were used to um, previously. And so, anyways, you see how we have on the calendar, let me make sure that, well, it's not showing, but if it were, and if we do get to where the my stream is showing live, I'll explain what I'm talking about. But until then, you'll just have to, get the calendar and look at the paper. And every month we do provide a snippet for what is that particular month. And so you can determine when the unfolding of Sabbath, how it aligns to the appearance of the waxing crescent for that month, and then how each one of the lunar solar months, how they line up in regard to the appearance of the waxing crescent, which is the Rosh Chodesh. It's always the first day or the head of the month. And then that being the first day, then we always have 4 7-day working weeks following Rosh Chodesh. And then so after the appearance of the waxing crescent, you always have these 4 Sabbaths which align accordingly with the following 28 days of what is the lunar calendar month. There's always going to be alternating 29 or 30 days in each lunar month. In the normal calendar, the Gregorian calendar, you have some months which have 28 days, others that have um, 29, some 30 days, and some with 31. That's not how it works according to the Most High's rule calendar. It will always alternate either 29 or 30 days. And so, let me check again. Okay, and so you'll be able to, when you have the calendar in front of you, you'll be able to go and look at it and check it out, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Let me give you some more dates. We will have Rosh Chodesh, which was in the month of January. We had Rosh Chodesh on the 11th. So that takes us to we will have a 30th, we had a 30th day, translation day in February. So the appearance of the waxing crescent was on the Saturday, the 10th in February, which takes us to the 10th of March. And again, it's the 10th of March that Rosh Chodesh for the month of Nisan will happen. And then we have these Sabbaths aligning to these Sundays. You have the 10th, the 17th, the 24th, the 31st, And then on the 29th, which is Sunday, the 4th, the lunar conjunctive Sabbath, that will occur on April the 7th. And so then we have the appearance, we'll have a 30-day lunar month for April. And then we'll have Rosh Chodesh for the month of Iyar will occur on the 9th of April. And so the Sabbaths will occur on Tuesdays this month. And, again, I realize that for people that are not familiar with how the calendar is set up and how, the appearance of the waxing crescent determines the following 4 Sabbaths, it's really not difficult at all. If you just watch this calendar, if you keep up with it for a year or two and you look at it every day, you will become familiar with the workings of it and it will make complete sense to you. Because in ancient times, the Israelites they didn't have a paper calendar on their wall, that would tell them what day it was and when Sabbath was, when it would happen. And so they examined, looked at, and were well adjusted in determining when Shabbat might actually occur, according to the cycles in the heavens and the way that the luminaries moved. And so they were familiar with looking at, they would be out with their sheep under the stars all night. And so it was a subtle movement of the sun and the moon, and the wandering stars, the luminaries, that caused the deviation in time, the changing of the days, the weeks, the months, the years. And those that, had learned and spent more time examining the stars and being out under them with their animals, and they were also familiar. Uh, that's what they did. Is they would watch the night pass, look at the stars, the moon, watch the sunrise. They were star watchers. They watched the movement of the luminaries over time and space, weeks, months, years, generations. That's why the watchers, the fallen angels, they were in being here and watching the unfoldment of so many dozens, hundreds, even thousands of years. They were able to become familiar with the passing, of time as it cycled. Yes, thank you, Stephanie, for sharing that. Okay, and so remember, if you have any questions, do paste them. But I'm gonna I'm going to talk about a few things as to why it is that and how it was that I was led to discernment on this calendar and why I believe this is the one that people should be observing in trying to determine Sabbath. And if you are trying to honor the Sabbath and the Levitical feast days, because without a doubt, there's a reason why the moon has a cycle where the its phases are linked with the cycle of seven and the movement of 7 days, which happens to be very important in the monitoring of time and in the determination of it. Because, the whole theme of honor the Sabbath, that's a very important command that the Most High Yahuwah gave to his people. And it just so happens to link up with, in timing and memorialization, the freeing of the Israelites, which just happened to be Yahuwah's people, that they were a people of a prophet, a people of prophets and patriarchs, and that out of 72 nations, 71 were given over and aligned with the powers, the principalities, the rulers of darkness and wickedness in high places. And that Yahuwah only took one for himself, and that was Israel. And once you are familiar with that, this is the way that the nations have been divided, and that there are angels, there are principalities, there are rulers over, and that determine these angels keep watch. And they also fight for, they, in a court of law, when, justice is to be delved out, because the Most High always brings forth his counselors whenever determining and passing judgment on a people or a nation or, for whatever reason, that a sentence is going to be passed in a certain way. The Most High brings together his counselors and has discussion with his angels and with his Torah and with his son, that they come together as Elohim for determination. And so, yeah, thank you everybody for hitting the thumbs up. We do appreciate that. All your support in that way really does make a difference. And yes, we are praying for our sister Tammy, but I'm praying for all of you as well. Hello, Mang. Welcome. And thank you for joining us and being willing to share time and space. Hello, Galgotha. All right, and so I was telling you the story. All right. Uh, the Flat Earth as Key to Decrypt the Book of Enoch. It was in that book that I told the story of how it was that in being led to consider biblical cosmology and that the earth was not a ball, is not spherical in shape, is not globular in size or dimension, but is mostly uh, like a disc with upturned edges. That's what the guy that went up in the balloon. I can't remember his name right now, but anyways, that's what he described seeing the Earth. He said it was like a flat disc with the upturned edges, and that it was flat all the way to the horizon. That curvature was non-existent. The higher you went up, the horizon would come up and meet you and elevate and rise up to where you could see. Okay, I'm going to get to your question here in just a second, Galgotha. But with regard to examining the book on the courses of the heavenly luminaries, it wasn't until I really started to look at the motion that Enoch was describing for those movements. He said that the luminaries move from east to west across southern skies and that they would spiral back towards the east until making a circle, they would arrive back in the east in the morning for what was a new day, an unfolding of a new dream, the beginning of what was another cycle of day, and and also the passing of night, because you have the termination line. It's spinning, and day and night are moving, and enveloping, consuming nations and landscapes. Okay, Golgotha asks, questions in. I've been following the Abib of God website. I don't think the Abib, I don't think the Abib barley is ready yet for first fruits, but I will keep watching. Do you believe that an Adar 2 is possible this year? Um, I personally, the reason I don't believe so is because we had one unfold last year, and so it's about every 3 years. And yes, we are getting. You can see that it's getting close because this will be at the very end. With regard to the first 3 months of the year, that the vernal equinox, it's getting to where we're gonna have to move to add an Adar for to realign the barley. But in my opinion, again, it should not be necessary because of how it all unfolded last year. And we were, waiting. We tried to wait because it's so difficult, to try to put out a lunar solar calendar a year in advance just because of the timing and the unfolding. And, with everybody waiting for you to try to make that determination to put it out so that people can keep straight on their days and their Sabbaths. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. But, I don't claim to know everything or to have it all figured out. We are learning and doing this and figuring it out together. I do see that others are uh, really starting to examine this topic and to study out this issue. And I think it's actually important. And when, you know, I never had to write a book on this, and I'm grateful to Diane Cover and Troy Miller and others that have already done that work for me. I feel like it's going to save me from having to do an in-depth study and put out books on this topic. I did cover it in great detail in the Flat Earth as Key to Decrypt the Book of Enoch. However, there is a lot of information that if I were to write a book on this, I would include, which you're not, again, you don't see a lot of people talking about this. And it it will help you. In my opinion, it will help you to not only understand better the biblical cosmology and how it is that the luminaries are moving and spinning in circle around Polaris and not the sun, because we do not live in a solar system. And I know it's still, very difficult for people to engage and to speak and to share conversation with others on this topic, especially because it's so just taboo. But, again, considering it, it will make a huge difference for you. And then, understanding the timing of Sabbath and the Levitical feast days and why they fall on the days that they do and how, the even the timing of the March on Jericho, how it began on the second month, on the beginning of the month, Rosh Chodesh, and that it was the Chodesh together with the 6 days of the first Shabbat that made it possible for Yahuwah to do the march and to prepare for the destruction of the walls so that they could take the city. Luke asked me um, for the crypto journey updates. I am sharing those in the Discord chat. We have a cryptos for ding dongs page, and I am posting and sharing new airdrops there. And I decided really that there's just so much going on that I really I can't cover everything. And I don't want to give out stuff that's going to waste your time or that could, I'm only going to focus on the biggest, what are, huge infrastructure changes. Like I think Zeta Chain, um, like Arbitrum and Polygon, Matic, that these are, going to be huge. The infrastructure advances, the scaling, the reduction of the gas fees for the Ethereum platform, that there's going to be a lot of growth and a lot of money flooding into the markets. But anyways, I'll talk about this when we come back from break, and we'll go into it in the second hour, and then I'll cover more about the calendar. So if you have questions, again, post them in the chat. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody, for a second hour. I am your host, Zen Garcia. This is Secrets Revealed here on Truth Frequency Radio. And I apologize also that the Truth Frequency has just been going through some issues as well, and that's why there's been no um, commercials playing in the background. And so we just trying to do the best we can here. But if you are interested in crypto, you want to learn more, um, I am posting some updates to the Cryptos for Ding Dongs chat room. And as I said, only, because I'm not a financial advisor, but I have been now through 3 up and down markets. And we are, still in a raging bull market where people are buying the dips, but also since we've come up so very fast and Bitcoin has rallied from 15,000 to 69,000, and with really not even a lot of uh, resets. And so, because of that, um, I am going to keep updates and to, give some what I think, I would do if somebody were wanting to share some information with me to give me some ideas on this platform. And this is the kind of information I would want people to tell me. And, the whole theme of the creation of the internet, which is where we are now with the creation of the cryptocurrency platform, the ability for people to engage in the market and to invest, to buy ETFs, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and there's going to be others. Um, I'm gonna share some of that, but it's a lot. So I'm gonna be telling you about certain things, and I will be posting videos that help to explain. But I did realize also that when I sent out all that information about the last crypto update that I sent out, that it was just too much information, and a lot of you probably don't even know what I'm talking about with some of all that. So I'm going to make it more precise, and I'm going to only bring out small chunks because I know it can get too overwhelming in that if you don't even know what I'm talking about, there's no way you're going to be able to take the information that I'm providing you and to let it properly assist you in a way that I would want it to be beneficial for you. All right. But if you don't know, we did have Bitcoin broke the all-time high and is continuing to make new all-time highs against different currencies. It depends on where you live in the world. So let me just read this a little bit because it's like, you know, this is such a huge thing and it came up so fast and how we were able to reach this point. I mean, this quickly before even the Bitcoin halving. I mean, things are oddly different than what we have been going through with normal cycle. It's definitely not normal. We have been going parabolic with regard to the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So much so that um, even when we broke the all-time high just yesterday or the day before, it was like, there wasn't any discussion about it. I mean, okay, yeah, we broke the all-time high. We're still gaining momentum and we're still going parabolic and Bitcoin is still rising quickly. And the reason I say this is because I do think that people should take some money off the table. That if you are still 100% fully in, I would maybe consider taking 15 to 20% off of especially some of the more risky meme coins. and to let it sit in USDC. Even if this isn't the local top, even if we continue to rally higher, but still take some money off the table, put it in the USDC or Tether USDT. And if there's a dip, because I think that we're in a bull market where you buy the dips, always buy the dips and sell into rallies. I think that's where we are right now. And that, I've done it, you've done it in learning about the crypto markets. All of us have also watched all of our gains go astronomical and then dissipate into nothingness. And so, another lesson that I had to learn, that we all had to learn, is that we have to learn to take profits. And that if a coin goes up 50, 60% in one day, there's nothing wrong with, taking some of that profit off of the table. And if you missed out on an additional 10%, but you snagged 60%, be okay with that. Be happy with that. Be overjoyed. I mean, the kind of gains that we are seeing in the crypto markets are unmatched anywhere else. Usually, you have stock market people and uh, gold diversity people, real estate people, and they having 7 to 5, 9% gains in a bear market year. That's fantastic. People are, paying uh, wealth managers. They're paying them to have those kind of good results. But what's happening this year with the kind of gains that are being achieved on the market is it's absolutely insane. It's ludicrous. This is literally life-changing money that people have access to in this bull market. And I think that if you don't participate, even with what knowledge you may have, with what ability you have, you're gonna really regret. You're gonna you're gonna kick yourself sometime later, and you're gonna wonder at what could have been, or if you would have just done some things a little bit differently, how what could have happened, how things might have turned out. So, all right. Really quickly, just a couple of coins that I think will do really well. Again, this is not financial advice. But without a doubt, Bitcoin and Ethereum, those will continue to rise. I think BNB and Solana are also solid layer 2 plays. I think Zeta chain is going to be awesome. I love it. Optimism, Arbitrum, Polygon. These are other layer 2s that scaling back on the Ethereum chain. And because there's going to be a patch, there's an update coming out April the 5th, which is going to help the Ethereum chain, blockchain, and its gas prices. And so I think that's going to be a real difference maker. I think Avalanche, Chainlink are also really good. And I think that we're going to start seeing movement in Polkadot as well. Cosmos, Celestia, these are some of these coins that you can have staking on the Cosmos system which will be beneficial and will pay out. Immutable X, IMX, I think that one is also going to be gaining. Injective, Chronos, Render. I mean, there's literally so many of them now. You can go through the list of the top 100, and there are coins that have 41% gains in the last 7 days. There's a coin here, 189% gains in 7 days. Theta coin has 71% gains in the last 7 days. I mean, it is just insane the amount of gains that are being accumulated in these different. Phantom, 72% gains last 7 days. I mean, it's like you can just close your eyes and throw your dart, and you're gonna hit something. AI has also been running as of late. Gaming, Web3 gaming. But I think the ones that are really going to do well are those that are super fast chains like Solana, SUI, SUI, Sei, SEI, Starknet. There's a huge airdrop campaign on for Starknet right now. So lots to consider. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to read a couple things here. Also, I'm going to do a show. People have asked me to do a show on the millennial age and there being a new heaven and a new earth. So I'm going to join Noel and to do an AMA with his people and to go over some of these topics, some of the things that to go over some of these issues as far as the mud flood, Tartary, and all that. Because I've looked into all that as well. Certainly not to the degree as some people, but I have looked at some of these issues in great depth. And so we're going to look at and consider these things again. Let's share a couple of passages here. The Word of God is awesome, always. I will now remember the works of the Lord and declare the things that I have seen. In the words of the Lord are his works. The sun that giveth light looketh upon all things, and the work thereof is full of the glory of the Lord. The Lord hath not given power to the saints to declare all his marvelous works, which the Almighty Lord firmly settled, that whatsoever is might be established for his glory. He seeketh out the deep and the heart, and considereth their crafty devices. For the Lord knoweth all that may be known, and he beholdeth the signs of the world. He declareth that things are past and for to come, and revealeth the steps of hidden things. The pride of the height, the clear firmament, the beauty of heaven with his glorious show. The sun, when it appeareth, declaring at his rising a marvelous instrument, the work of the Most High. At noon it parcheth the country, and who can abide the burning heat thereof? A man blowing a furnace is in works of heat, but the sun burneth the mountains 3 times more, breathing out fiery vapors and sending forth bright beams. It dimmeth the eyes. Great is the Lord that made it, and his commandment runneth hastily. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times, and a sign of the world. For the moon is the sign of feasts, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. The beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, an ornament giving light in the highest places of the Lord. At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and never faint in their watches. Look upon the rainbow and praise him that made it. Very beautiful it is in the brightest brightness thereof. It compassed the heaven about with a glorious circle, and the hands of the Most High have bended it. The wisdom of Jesus, son of Sirach. I'll share another verse, then we'll go to the chat room. This is from First Clement. When I first found this, I was mind blown. I was like, how come everybody doesn't know about this? Because without a doubt, this, like the Book of Enoch, affirms that, it's the luminaries and moving in circle around Polaris, not the luminaries moving around the sun. Doesn't happen. There is no curvature. And that is the one thing you can go and determine for yourself. Without a doubt, you will learn if you look and if you open yourself to that possibility that curvature is non-existent. All right, First Clement. The heavens are moved by his direction and obey him in peace. Day and night accomplish the course assigned to them by him, without hindrance one to another. The sun and the moon and the dancing stars, according to his appointment, circle in harmony within the bounds assigned to them, without any swerving aside. The earth bearing fruit in fulfillment of his will at her proper seasons, putteth forth the food that supplieth abundantly both men and beasts and all living things, which are thereupon making no dissension, neither altering anything which he had decreed. Therefore, the inscrutable depths of the abysses and the unutterable statues of the nether regions are constrained by the same ordinances. The basin of the boundless sea gathered together by his workmanship Into its reservoirs passeth not the barriers wherewith it is surrounded. But even as he ordered it, so it doeth. For he said, so far shalt thou come, and thy waves shall be broken within thee. The ocean, which is impassable for men, and the worlds beyond it are directed by the same ordinances of the Master. The seasons of spring and summer and autumn and winter give way in succession, one to another in peace. The winds in their several quarters at their proper season fulfill their ministry without disturbance, and the ever flowing fountains created for enjoyment and health without fail give their breaths which sustain the life for men. Yea, the smallest of living things come together in concord and peace. All these things the great creator and master of the universe ordered to be in refuge in his compassionate mercies through our Lord Jesus Christ, to whom be the glory and the majesty forever and ever. Amen. First Clement, that was chapter 20. I love that though. It's so good. All right. Let me check the chat again. Yeah. I wanted to ask how Jessica and Shane were. Does anybody know Jessica Knock? Shane, how they're doing? Jason Lee says prepare and stock up, family. I think that is a great idea. I think that we should always be in preparation, and that we should be, giving and sharing with others and those that are in need as well. Okay. Uh, Good advice here. Jason says that, yea, love one another, do good to all, look at your neighbors, and imagine them as the child of God. Know that each of you is a child of God, and that he loveth each of you. Fully agree. And yes, all we can do is try to help each other in the best way that we can. Hello, Gary. Thank you for joining us. Oh, okay. Thank you, Sherry. She says that Jessica Enoch is in Holland visiting with her sons and daughter. Yes, she is missing Shane, of course. These are strange times. A lot of people are going through a lot of difficult and strange times. So I'm just gonna, ask that the Most High protects, blesses, saves each one of us. You know, I've been watching as far as the esoteric kind of weird stuff that's going on in the world too. There is a lot happening. There's people with, cameras all over the world taking photos and videos of really strange and odd creatures coming to light. Giants, even dragons, like people are seeing, witnessing uh, dragons. And I mean, there's no other way to say it. Like they are encountering these odd and strange deities, beings, that hadn't been seen in a very long time, but that have always rumored to have lived within the earth. There's always said there have been dragons and giants and things of that nature. So I think that we're in those times that, where the Hopi prophecies, they talk about there's spiritual oddities happening and coming down in the world. And I think a lot of some of all that is being played out, and that all that kind of stuff is starting to unfold. We're seeing the release of the Locust Army. The whole thing with CERN and what they are bringing forth and conjuring up and releasing in odd ways. There's going to be some really weird stuff come forth being released from CERN. So, all right, it is March the 7th. Let me catch you up on where we are again. So, March the 7th, we're only 3 days out. Today is the 27th of Adar. And so we've got Friday the 28th of Adar, and then Saturday the 29th of Adar, which is the lunar conjunctive Sabbath. That occurs on the 9th of March. And then on the 10th, we have the Rosh Kadesh, the waxing crescent, and also Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the new year. This all happens on the 10th, which is a Sunday. And as I said, this month for March, Shabbat will happen on Sundays. And we also have the vernal equinox, which is on the 19th. on Tuesday the 19th. But somebody, if you would, if you know somebody that is keeping up with the barley and in Israel, I would be interested in hearing about that. And Diane Culver just gave us an update too, and she'll be joining us again at some point to do a show. Her and Denny, their situation, please do pray for them as well. But they're doing really well. They have got a new house, new situation, and are loving it and getting set up for the golden years, and to really do what the Most High is leading them to do. They're really sharing a lot of information. All right, so the 31st, we have the third quarter Sabbath. I'm going to just give you the timing of Pentecost too and explain how that works. And so, when you look at the timing of Pentecost or Shavuot, it's not just 49 days and then the 50th day is, like Jubilees. Uh, that's not the way that it is counted. You have 7 perfect weeks, excluding the translation days and Rosh Chodesh, which 7 perfect weeks, that's going to be uh, the Sabbath. Um, so 7 weeks, you're going to have 1 Rosh Chodesh and 1 translation day. And those are not counted in the timing of the Omer, in the counting of the Omer. Like, for instance, on the 8th of April will be the 30th of Nisan. And also Rosh Chodesh on the 9th, Rosh Chodesh for the month of Iyar, the second month, will occur on April the 9th. But those 2 days, again, are not included in the counting of the Omer. And so with the counting of the Omer, you have on the 7th, what would be the lunar conjunctive Sabbath. It is also the 14th day of the counting of the Omer. And then you have excluding translation day, and again, once you look at the calendar, you'll be able to understand this much better. And I wish I would have been able to share my screen, because that would have been, you would have been able to understand it a lot more. But I'll do a show with Lisa very soon, and also I'm going to be doing a show with Troy Miller on this topic, the creation calendar. And so we're going to have, and I could show you the pictures too, because the pictures that are in the calendar are just exquisite. They're absolutely beautiful. Okay, and so and then in May 2024, on the 8th of May, we have Rosh Chodesh for the month of Sivan, which means bright covering. Yeah, the images in this calendar are just gonna blow you away. They're so beautiful. And then um, Rosh Chodesh for the month of Tammuz will occur on June the 7th. June the 7th, 2024. Yeah, I'm really excited for you to see the images and the calendar. I mean, this is definitely a labor of love. Uh, Even though, I mean, you know, it's a labor of love because we're doing it to try to help y'all to better understand the timing and how to visualize and to see how it plays out on paper and how you can understand what's happening in the heavens by looking at what's going on paper with the unfolding, the conversion of the Gregorian calendar um, with the Enochian Lunisolar Calendar. And so after what is the ninth of Siwan, you have then the count. Because after the ninth Siwan, that you the Sabbath, the 8th of Siwan, it's always the day after that you really have to begin the 50-day count. And so the ninth of Sivan, which is 50 days until Shavuot or Pentecost, occurs on the 16th of May. The 16th of May. And so the timing for what is the wheat, which is a summer feast, is actually 7 weeks of perfect days, which is, not just 7 times 7, because you have translation days and um, translation days and Rosh Chodesh, and those are not included in the count. So we have 50 days from the 16th, which is the ninth of Sivan. So that will put us I am looking for the timing. I think it's like July 28th. I'll check the chat in just a minute here. And then, of course, September, that's when all the 3 Levitical feasts for fall occur. We have Rosh Chodesh for the month of Tishri on September 3rd, and then the Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, September 12th, and then the Feast of Tabernacles or Sukkot, it's the 17th of September. Okay. Um, One last thing, and then I'll come into the chat and check your last questions. All right, let's see. This is 14, 21, 28, 35. All right, I apologize. I can't find that, so I'm gonna just. Okay. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. He says, "You do such an awesome job on the calendar every year. Your efforts are greatly loved and appreciate that." And appreciate it. I really appreciate that because it it takes such a long time to get the calendar done. It's the thing that I actually dread the most. But it helps me to understand, and I learn more every year as I go through the process of making it and putting it out. So I'm learning more myself as well, and trying to share more of that information with all of you. But one last thing, let me find this verse. We'll share this and end it. All right. Well, I don't know. This is a different file, anyways. But all right, I'm gonna check. If you have any questions, put it in the chat room. We're just gonna finish up with that, and I'll share final comment as well. But again, when it comes to Passover, we're going to have Rosh Kadesh in 3 days or 3 nights. You should be able to go out on Sunday the 10th, Rosh Kadesh for Sunday the 10th. That will be also the beginning of the new year, Rosh Hashanah. It's the first day of the month of Nisan or the month of Abib. And this is also when the waxing crescent should make appearance. That means that day is excluded from the 7-day normal counts, leading up to what are the following 4 sabbatical weeks. So, Rosh Kadesh always stands apart from the rest of the days of the lunar month. And then you have, after it, 7 days leading up to the first Shabbat on the 8th of Nisan. Then the 15th is the full moon Sabbath. The 22nd is the third quarter Sabbath. And then on the 29th, you have the lunar conjunctive Sabbath. And so all of that is going to kick off in 3 days. So on the 10th, that is the beginning of the lunar month. On the 8th, which is the following Sunday, on the 17th, that is the first quarter Sabbath. Then you have that Saturday night Passover or Passat. And then on the 15th of Nisan, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And then the 16th of Nisan, you have the Feast of First Fruits or Yom Hibakarim, which is also the first day of the counting of the Omer. On the 31st, which is the 22nd of Nisan, you have the third quarter Sabbath. And then we get to the 29th of Nisan, the lunar conjunctive Sabbath, which will be on Sunday, April 7th. And then the waxing crescent for the month of Iyar, we should see it on April the 9th. April the 9th. First quarter Sabbath is the 16th. It's the 8th of Iyar. The 23rd of April is the full moon Sabbath. And then the 22nd of Iyar, the third quarter Sabbath, is on April the 30th. So that'll lead us into the next couple of weeks. And then we'll have for the Rosh Kadesh for the month of May, it'll be Wednesday the 8th. Wednesday the 8th. But again, I hope that you will take a time to look at the calendar. I mean, the images are extraordinary. They're so beautiful. And it'll be beautiful to see on the wall as well. And just by following each day, you will get familiar with the timing, how the moon determines the Sabbath and also the Levitical feast days, how it's all broken up basically you have the first month and the seventh month, and then you have on those months, basically the 7 day celebration of Passover or Sukkot. Um, but, again, I think, and again, we're all really still studying, trying to determine. But when it comes to the calendar, the book of Enoch, the book on the courses of the heavenly luminaries, it shows that without a doubt that this intercalated system of 354 lunar days, lunar months, and 364-day the solar calendar and the lunar solar months. You have to incorporate these two calendars together. The 354-day lunar with the 364-day solar, and that because you have 10 days more each lunar month in 10 days each year, you have an excess of 30 days in 3 years, which is why you have to add an Adar too, so that you can um, fill and complete the intercalating of the lunar calendar with the solar. And so one really has to follow both the moon, the sun, and also the planets, and because their cycles stand for something as well. That's why when you're born, it tells you where all of the luminaries are according to what house they were when you were born, because they have influence. All of that is said within the scriptures. I mean, they have influence, but we're not to worship them. We're really to worship the Father and the Creator, and not, you know, um, not the things of the creation, but the Creator who created all things of the creation. And that is in the Testament. The wisdom of Solomon as well. Yeah, I appreciate all of you. You know what? When I do a show with Troy on the calendar, I'll give out a couple of calendars, and we'll give out some of his books as well. So don't let me forget, everybody. Keep all of us in your prayers. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us, praying for us, for my children, my grandkids. We greatly appreciate all of you so very much. And thank you again, Sherry and Stephanie and Brick and others, those that are willing to take on this role and to help out, with Tammy. And we'll pray for her, pray for all of us, each other, one another, family, ministry, brothers, sisters. We love you as well. And thank you, Ian, for coming in. We appreciate all of you. The world is a theater. And we'll do it on Sunday. On Saturday, we'll follow up with the Digital Readers Club, which has been on fire. Please do join us for that. It's an incredible reading that we're looking into examining, and it's a really good times reading the legends of the Jews. But hello, Gary. And also, if you missed the AMAs with Gary Wayne, he's been giving out some of his new books, and Yeah, I'm thinking those things are, hot off the presses, that people are really loving all this new information coming to light. And Dr. Joy is also putting out some great information with Beastmark. So we love all of you, appreciate all of you again. And do come and, join us for the AMA shows, not only because we give out books, but um, so we can answer all your questions, and do send in. If you have questions that you'd like to ask, send them in to us, and we'll let them build up, and we'll get to them and share with the rest of the world. We love and appreciate you. Be blessed all. Good night. God bless.
Thank you everybody for joining us for this video and this broadcast. We appreciate all of you and thank you for your patronage. Please do like and subscribe and share with your friends. God bless all of you in your seeking.